and I've already spoiled your name, but would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, right. I'm Victor Fursov. I'm a research entomologist. I'm working at the SCHMALHAUSEN Institute of Zoology of National Academy of Sciences in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. So you have read maybe something about me on the internet and other social media, but ask your precise questions. I am ready.
Understood. Thank you. And what drew you to entomology?
I'm working at the Department of Taxonomy of Entomophagus insects and ecological principles of biological control. So my responsibilities is the identification of parasitic wasps of family Trichogrammatidae and some other CHALCID wasps. This is a huge superfamily, Chalcidoideae in order HYMENOPTERA. So I'm identifying these insects which I have collected or which I have found in collections of our institute and other collections of different museums. And I'm studying taxonomy, biology, trophical relations, and I'm describing new species which I have found, and I'm expecting to find more. So this is my responsibility to write articles about taxonomy, biology, behavior of different parasitic and phytophagous wasps.
Oh, okay. Are there any species or interactions that you are specifically studying right now?
Well, during this week, for instance, I am involved in the project to study the taxonomy of parasitic wasp of genus Trichogramma, which are breeding in different commercial laboratories for applications against some pests in agriculture in a future season, for sure. So some laboratories are sending me tiny insects in samples, so I'm making microscopic slides, I'm studying them, I'm identifying material to check which species are bred in the laboratory, to recognize, to identify species name, and to make some piece of advices for this laboratory, which species is over there and which species need to be corrected, or maybe which species should be bred in this particular laboratory.
Wow, okay. We've heard a little bit about how the current war has affected Ukrainian agriculture. You mentioned that your work is related to agriculture as you're studying parasitoid wasps, and we were wondering how the war has affected your work.
Well, my work is really connected with some kind of agriculture because our tiny parasitic wasps were applied in the biological control of agricultural pests, especially, for instance, in corn fields. For instance, drones have been used for spreading these tiny insects over corn fields. Now it's limited. But to be honest, this war between Russia and Ukraine affected totally the science, the nature, people, the whole country, and whole people around. Not only the science. The people have been affected, and the nature have been affected, and science as well. It depends from the place. Starting from the beginning, for instance, we have such kind of different problems, starting from financial support, for instance, because it's becoming limited, starting with some problems of renewal of equipment, for sure. And of course, regarding agriculture and regarding study of natural environmental scales, it's important to say that war affected natural landscapes and agricultural landscapes because of artillery shelling, because drone flights, and again cannoning, and also some problems with fortifications, with mining fields around some places in front line, and after the occupation of some areas as well. Some areas became really limited to visit, so it's impossible to visit because of landmines, like on territory on southern Ukraine, and some mines in Black Sea region as well. And of course, before we have been able to visit different natural reservations in Ukraine. We have a lot of different, absolutely wonderful, fantastic, gorgeous places with nature in Ukraine. But now these places are very much restricted to visit because some of them under occupation, so they're closed completely. We are not able to visit them, and we may say that any scientific activity is limited over there, and also some visits of natural environment even around big cities is limited because of possible landmines, because of some restrictions for visits some forests and some natural places because of military state. And of course, regarding the scientific point of view, war has limited the opportunities of scientific communication between people in different countries. So our researchers are not able to visit scientific conferences, for sure, in foreign countries because of a lot of limitations and some restrictions to publish papers in foreign journals as well. And also visits to some museums are very limited. Because, for instance, if someone is working in France, in Germany, in England, person can visit scientific conference in other countries a couple of times in a year. Now, for Ukrainian scientists, it's impossible probably if you are under 60 years old. And of course, as I said about agriculture, the application of our beneficial insects as a beneficial parasitic wasp became more limited than before, because agriculture is developing, but not in such steps as it was before the war, because of shelling, because of artillery situations, and as I said about some pollutions of natural environment. Something like that.
Wow, that was an incredible response.
Yeah.
We saw some of this ourselves, actually. We were driven to a forest up in northern Kyiv, and we noticed, as we were looking among the mushrooms and the pine needles, we saw Russian shells, like little Russian shell fragments. Yes.
So there are some advices, very important advices. Don't take anything in the forest now.
Yeah.
Better don't collect mushrooms, and don't take some metal pieces in the forest, because you do not know what does it mean. Maybe this is a landmine or just secret landmine. So it's awful.
So everything's risky. Would you mind diving into any, I suppose, more specific personal anecdotes about how the limitation to certain areas, the restriction has affected your work directly? Because I've heard of the catalog of the Luhansk invertebrates from your colleagues, Dr. Glotov and Geryak, and it was mentioned in that paper that now that that area has some restrictions on it, it's much harder to study the invertebrates living there. Has anything like that specifically happened for any of your research?
To be honest, I'm in a certain age when I'm studying my collected material. But before, I have been visiting different places in Ukraine, different natural landscapes and national reservations. And it was working in our Institute of Zoology, I was able to visit different places. And these are advantages of nature of Ukraine, to visit steppe region, forestry steppe region, and forestry region, and also mountain areas as well. But now we can visit mostly either Carpathian region with forests and meadows, or just Polessia in the northern part of Ukraine, but not everywhere. Steppe regions are very limited, are completely closed, because, you know, 3 biospheric reservations in Ukraine are closed. They are on south of Ukraine. This is a reservation Askania Nova, reservation Lugansk Reserve, and also Crimean Reserve is closed, and Black Sea Natural Reserve, Chernomorsky Reserve in Kherson region is closed because of occupation. So it's impossible to visit, and all scientific activity over there closed. Probably some natural places completely destroyed. And the scientific infrastructure in these reservations has been destroyed as well. So not only no scientific links, no natural reserves maybe as well, completely. Because, for instance, Ukrainian state has helped to reservation Askania in Kherson region for 1 year in the beginning of this large-scale war. But after that, it was accepted to occupied area to our neighbor, and no more financial support from Ukraine, and we have no links at all. What's going on in reservation Askania Nova? This is a very specific steppe reserve, unique place in south part of Ukraine.
Yes, I've heard of the unique habitat there through your colleagues' papers, and it's a devastating loss. I mean, I think about where we're from, the United States. I think about the incredible diversity along the coast and how Ukraine is losing that very same sort of diversity because it's of strategic importance to the Russians and they're attacking those places. It's horrible, the amount of endemic species that we're probably seeing losing entire populations because of Russian aggression. Words can't describe it. I suppose I'd like to come back to what first drew you to Ukrainian entomology. Have you been interested in insects since you were a boy, perhaps?
In your what?
I'm sorry?
In
Ukrainian entomology?
what do you mean? Well, repeat it again.
When did you start studying insects?
When?
Yes.
When? This is just a history of my research. Okay, I started my research in the institute, starting here from my postdoctoral, from my graduate course in 1984 and 83. Yes, 83, and I entered graduation course in 84. So then I just was graduated and I got my PhD in 1988. And after that, I was working as a scientific researcher in my institute. So I was able to visit different places in Ukraine collecting material. And also I have been able to visit some scientific museums in other countries. I have been working in Natural History Museum in London, Natural History Museum in Stockholm, in France, in Italy, in Switzerland. I have been visiting Japan, Mexico, Hungary, Sweden, Finland, so different places.
Wow, yeah.
Mostly for scientific purpose, only just for vacations, maybe just once a Greece in a Crete. No more vacations to mine, something like that. So scientific career as an entomologist can give the opportunity to visit different museums for taxonomists, different conferences and congresses, to exchange your results, to meet people and to get some new ideas for research, and to make some international presentations about your current research as well. Because if you're studying material just yourself in your own country, you need to know what's going on in the international community. When you share your experience, it's enlarge your view on your science, it's enlarge your view of other people on your research as well. And it gives you some opportunities to make next visit to next country, because you're creating scientific cooperation, collaboration with researchers. When you visit one country, you meet another people. All these new people coming at the scientific conferences. And some people are inspired by your research, and other people, and you also have been inspiring by other research as well. This is a mutual opportunity for development. So career is growing during the long period of time for scientists. It's never stopped, by the way. It's also involving new technologies, because in the beginning it was possible to make only white and black photographs, only white and black pictures. Now we are able to take photos on a high quality, stacking microscope with absolutely fantastic resolution, which was not possible before. 20 years ago it was not possible, or it was only beginning. Now this is a great opportunity. And of course, it's opportunity to take some behavioral observations and research on video cameras. Because with video camera, we can catch some moments of behavior, trophical relation between different insects under the microscope in a field, record it, and to find tiny details of behavior in biology, record it and describe in scientific literature, and share this experience with the scientific community and all people around, either in publications, in scientific publication, or in outreach activity like some activities on YouTube, for instance.
Thank you. What is your favorite part about studying entomology in Ukraine, specifically?
I just started to talk about it a little bit. Specifically in Ukraine, we have opportunity as biologists and entomologists to visit different landscapes, the whole territory of whole Ukraine. This is a coastal area in Crimea with mountains, with Mediterranean climate in Crimea, very unique southern places, some unique forests and steppe regions on the coast, and steppe region near Azov region, Azov Sea, in Kherson, Zaporizhia region. This is a steppe places, flattened places with wonderful grasses, meadows, interesting plants on these areas. Then it's forester steppe region in the middle, and on the north this is a forester area and mountain area in Carpathian region. For instance, Kyiv is located in a place where three places are united. You can find some places with meadows, with forests, and even with some places with mixture of forest and steppe region. Of course, agriculture is influenced a lot of Ukrainian territory, but nevertheless, we can find absolutely fantastic, gorgeous places with natural landscapes, with natural plants, and of course, insects, animals which are living in this area, on these plants, trees, in all these environmental conditions. So it gives opportunity to not only visit only forests, for instance, like in some places like in Norway, just cold forests of Norway, but steppe region, mountains, very warm places, aquatic places as well, a lot of lakes, ponds, rivers, streams. We have, for instance, several biospheric reservations in Ukraine, and about more than 1,000 different natural protected areas in Ukraine. But many of them have been influenced by the war.
I'm going to dive into that once more. And so in your October 4th video looking at the Lepidoptera in the National History Museum, you mentioned that small Lepidoptera may be under special threat because they are understudied. Do you think that the war making it harder to study in certain areas might raise the risk for those species?
War influenced natural environment and landscapes as a whole. Actually, small insects are understudied in different orders. It's concerning small groups of small Hymenoptera, parasitic wasps, and groups of small Lepidoptera, moths. For sure, we have only limited number of researchers, experts on Lepidoptera, on Hymenoptera, on Coleoptera, on different groups. So for them, it's difficult to make monitoring of different places all around Ukraine, especially in the time of war, when this monitoring is important, at least after the war, because some places are restricted or completely closed or destroyed. Some plants and some animals and some insects are physically destroyed. So some forests and steppe regions are fired or destroyed because of military fortifications. So that's why biological diversity in such destroyed areas are reducing drastically, catastrophically. It's concerning big groups of big animals like mammals, birds, others, and it's concerning small animals like insects. Because, for instance, my group of CHALCID wasps are tiny. They're like plankton flying around. They're invisible. It's quite difficult to explain people where they are, how it looks like. Well, I need to show photographs with big size. The same for small moths, for small Lepidoptera. They're quite tiny, from 5 millimeters maybe to 10 millimeters. And it needs a lot of efforts of expert lepidopterists to study them, to collect material in certain areas. And of course, if war influenced natural environment, an environment is destroyed, no one can find anymore these species in the particular areas at all, because some places can be probably closed and restricted after the war for decades, like some places in between France and Germany were closed more than 100 years because of some land mining places. So we can expect some totally protected, totally closed areas and chemically polluted areas in Ukraine as well. And they existed now, unfortunately.
We are talking generational damage to Ukrainian entomology. With that in mind, is there anything that you would say to a Ukrainian entomologist or an entomologist from anywhere in the world who's starting their career?
There is a problem to involve the young generation of entomologists in this field of entomology, because now people are more like computer games, some IA technologies, computer programming, and just computer sphere to get more money for that. But nevertheless, it depends from the personal mind, from personal attitude to the nature and attitude to insects as well from a childhood. If someone is with bugs from a childhood, this person can love insects forever in being adult as well. So that's why war affected the young generation for sure. Men, women in Ukraine and all around the world, people not so attracted maybe to the natural environmental totally. But nevertheless, some young people, some enthusiastic people can be inspired by some activities in science, in outreach programs, and can be involved to be young scientists, to be young entomologists, to be young zoologists. So for that we need to do some outreach activities. We need to do some connections with college students, with university students. Some grains of mind can be found everywhere, and some young people can be attracted as new students for PhD research, as a new generation of scientists in our institute as well. So I hope that I'm doing something beneficial to attract some young generation to our institute as well.
You absolutely are. I'm going to take sort of a personal moment in this interview and thank you for your YouTube channel, the work that you put into that, the work that you put into your Facebook. I mean, it's really inspiring, especially coming from someone who is currently studying in a country during wartime. So if you could say one thing to the new generation of scientists, what would you say? What advice would you maybe give them?
If you have interest in nature, in bugs, in entomology, never give up. Your interest, don't allow other people to persuade you to change your mind. Because I was with bugs from my childhood, from my children years, maybe from 5 years old. And nobody didn't persuade me to change my mind. I was believing that I will be biologist, that I will enter university as biologist, as entomologist. On the first grade, when I came to university, I asked, where is entomological society? Was my first question to the teachers, and they were very surprised. So ask more questions, ask more scientists, to persuade yourself that you are right in your activities, in your interests, and develop it yourself. Never give up your inspiration and amazement of nature, in nature. Like insects, enjoy nature and enjoy entomology as well.
I have one quick question, and then I think we're coming up to 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Given that those areas will be closed off, you said possibly for generations. We've seen in the Chernobyl exclusion zone that the nature has come back despite the radiation. We've also seen in some other areas around the world that when people are gone and they can't go in, the nature manages to persevere. Do you think that there might, in some way, by having no people there, could that help the nature in the reserves?
It depends from the place, from a reserve, because if you're speaking about Chernobyl reservation, this place is under the study of particular group of scientists who are working only in this area. I don't think that other scientists are very much involved in this research because there is a huge danger for the health which is still existing. But fortunately, some other areas in some distant places out of a front line, for instance, in the Crimean region, they are now more free from tourists. But nevertheless, sometimes some poaching activities can be in these places, so they can destroy nature illegally. So less tourists, but more poachers. It's because of less money for nature reservation and for science as well. Because previous time, some researchers said, why some natural reservations are existing? They're existing for scientists, for science, not only to protect area, but to study, to investigate animals, insects, plants, birds, everything over there, to publish scientific research about this area, to make other people to know more about our protected areas. So hopefully some places which are restricted for now, they can be involved in national protected areas as well, because there are special activities in our institute and globally in Ministry of Environmental Protection as well, to make some new areas as protected areas. We hope that some protected areas will be accessible for scientific research in the future, and they will come as legal protected areas as well.
Well, thank you for spending your time with us again, Dr. Victor Fursov. That was Dr. Victor Fursov, entomologist, beekeeper, teacher.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
My great pleasure.
No worries. And he can be found on YouTube at Victor Fursov, entomologist. Again, it was very nice to meet you, and thank you for sharing your special perspective as a Ukrainian entomologist to the rest of the world.
Thank you very much.
I don't know when.
What?
We can reshoot. So. We definitely got a lot. We got full Osmo footage. So. Let's grab mics.
Okay.
Okay, you can edit.
I didn't. The battery was full when we started.